Today, we are talking about trauma bonds versus healthy love so that you, as a smart and self aware woman, can be aware of what healthy love feels like and not second guess trusting the calm. Hey, and welcome back. If you have broken a trauma bond with a narcissist, you know what you don't want. You know what an unhealthy relationship feels like in your body. But now you might be sitting with the question of, well, do I actually know what I do want? Do I actually know what a healthy relationship feels like? Not a checklist, but what it feels like. And if I find it, how do I not second guess it? Because what I have found in the years of supporting women in healing from narcissistic relationships is that most, if not all of them, have never really experienced a healthy relationship. They don't have a frame of reference of what that is supposed to look like or what that feels like in their body. And oftentimes, as they're going through the process of processing all of the trauma that happened in the narcissistic relationship, it's becoming clearer and clearer that they really want to put their energy into becoming the best version of themselves so that they aren't repeating patterns that they had in that relationship and can show up in a healthy dynamic as a healthy individual. So today I'm going to give you that framework. We're going to talk about what the trauma bond felt like and what a healthy relationship feels like so that you know what you can expect when you do the work to become the healthiest version of you and attract in another healthy individual. What this episode is going to give you today is three things. First is a really vivid example of what a healthy relationship feels like day to day so that you can stop second guessing if you are looking for the right thing. The second is understanding why having peace and calm in a relationship might actually trigger your anxiety and why that means that there's not something wrong with you or with him. And I'm going to give you the understanding around why smart, self-aware women push away good men and the foundational inner work that is needed in order for you to start to change that pattern for good. And be sure to stick around to the end of the episode. I always pull an oracle card, and this offers you a message that you can hold on to, you can be with, you can think about this week. Okay, so let's take a deep breath and begin. The metaphor that I love the most for describing what it's like to be with a narcissist or a narcissistic person is being on a goddamn roller coaster. If you have been through the narcissistic cycle where you have been love bombed, you have been devalued, you have been discarded, then you've been hoovered, and then you've got sucked back into the whole love bombing stage again, just to repeat the process. And if you have gone through that cycle numerous times and have actually created a trauma bond with this person where you are seeking the person who hurt you to come back, to bring that closeness back, to validate that you're okay, it feels so disorienting. You have become used to and accustomed to and desiring really highs and really lows. So when you're on a roller coaster, right, you're strapped in and you're starting to chug your way up to the top of the first drop, it feels exhilarating. You know that this huge moment is going to come where you're going to lose your stomach, you're going to get a rush of euphoria, and it's going to feel fucking awesome. Right? Amusement parks really play on our dopamine, and so do narcissistic relationships. So you have gotten used to the highs. When things are good, things are fucking great. Things are so good. There are no problems in the world. You feel euphoric. You feel like soulmates. You feel connected. You are doing really fun things together. You're making really magnificent memories. Maybe you're taking fantastic trips. Maybe you finally feel seen and understood. It's like, it's a wave of euphoria. That's the best word to describe it. And I speak from behalf of my own experience in this. I speak on behalf of clients that I've supported through this. And so when I say I understand, you can trust that I understand what that euphoria feels like. It's the highs come after the low lows. And so when you're in a high, you guys are close again. There's connection. He's come back either physically or emotionally. He is no longer giving you the silent treatment. He's no longer telling you you're doing everything wrong. It's, oh my God, I love you. You're perfect. We're going to be together forever. I'm so sorry. you feel loved, you feel desired, you feel wanted. It feels so good that you can actually erase what happened during the low period. It's a really sort of, maybe it's like the mind eraser. Have you guys been on the mind eraser at Six Flags? We have one in Colorado, and that just came together perfectly. So you're on the mind eraser. When it's high, you forget everything all the shit that just happened before. It feels like you can exhale. It feels like things are okay. He's close. I'm wanted. We're okay. Everything is okay. And it really is that closeness that is giving you that sense of okayness. And then the high, just like in a roller coaster, that doesn't last forever. Inevitably, you're going to start going down and you're going to hit the bottom. You're going to hit the low, low. And because the highs feel so high, that's a farther drop down into the low. So you are feeling a low, low. And when things are here, it looks like walking on eggshells. It looks like every conversation turning into a fight. It looks like you trying to speak your mind, trying to hold a boundary, and then getting like tongue twisted and circled in this conversation where you end up taking the full blame for everything. You end up feeling guilty for even bringing it up in the first place. You end up feeling like you're causing all the problems in the relationship, which in turn makes you want to work harder to fix those problems. When you're here, you're feeling a lot of panic. You're feeling a lot of heartbreak when you do actually have that distancing. So whether it's, again, emotional where he's ghosting you or discarding you while still being in the same home, or there's an actual separation of you in different homes and you're taking a break or you've broken up, the heartbreak becomes unbearable. It's in part because this distance is really signaling to your body that you aren't safe. This person has become the way that you found regulation. When you're in a low, your body knows that that person, that high is possible and that person can take it all away. And so then you start seeking towards that person and really obsessing or ruminating over, was I wrong? Should I go back? Has he changed? And then if that door is cracked open, either you're going to swing it open or he's going to swing it open, and then the cycle is going to continue, right? You're going to seek that high again because your body is used to the ups and downs. It's used to him giving you that sense of okayness. There's not a steadiness. There's not I feel loved all the time and we go through moments of, disagreements and repair. It's not that. I'm either loved and wanted and doing okay and doing things right, or I am a piece of shit. I am unworthy. I'm not lovable. I'm the problem. I'm crazy. I'm the narcissist. Everything is wrong. It's very polarized. So that's what this mind eraser feels like. That's what this roller coaster feels like, is a series of ups and downs, ups and downs. And in your body, when you're in the up, there's a ton of dopamine and oxytocin that's being released in your brain. That's really keeping you moving towards the thing that feels good, which is him in this case, when things are good. And the oxytocin is that love chemical, which is really like solidifying that this is the right choice. Dopamine says, get more of this. Oxytocin says, this is what we need. So when things are good, this is part of the trauma bond. Biochemically in your brain, you're getting reinforcement for going back to the thing that hurt you because temporarily it feels good. When you're in the low parts of the roller coaster and of the relationship, you're feeling cortisol from all the stress. You're feeling adrenaline from all of the fear. So your body is becoming hyper aware to threat. What am I going to do wrong this time? Am I going to start this fight? Am I going to say the wrong thing? You're hyper vigilant, which has your energy really pumping. Your cortisol is really pumping to keep you aware. And adrenaline is going, preparing you to flee a threat. So the threat being the distance of the relationship. Even if you can rationally say, this person is not healthy for me, even if you're the one who leaves, your body is still sensing that separation as a threat. And so this cycling between the dopamine and the oxytocin, the adrenaline and the cortisol, is really putting your body into a destabilization and needing to keep seeking the person for that relief. So that is why we can get stuck on these roller coasters for so long, because the longer that you're on it, the more your body is looking to the person who hurt you to take away the relief. And the farther away you get from any sort of other type of regulation practice that can help you be able to withstand that distance. So that is the roller coaster. So now you're probably asking, cool, what does a healthy relationship feel like? A healthy relationship, to me, feels like, and I really think you're going to love this because I love this and I'm very proud of this metaphor. A healthy relationship feels like a road trip, okay? Instead of the high highs, you have these exciting turns through these mountain roads, or you have these really beautiful vistas that you're driving through, or maybe you're driving on Highway 1 and you're seeing the ocean and you're experiencing stopping at all of these really cool little quirky towns and going shopping together. And it's feeling exciting in the adventure. Instead of your stomach dropping out from the excitement of what is happening, it's more of like a giddiness. The road trip is really, how do I say this? Like a amplification of the baseline togetherness and safety that you feel. So you have always in this road trip, you're in this car together with this other person, and there's always a knowing that you are loved, that you're worthy, that you're respected, that the person is choosing you, right? They're choosing to be in the car with you on this long ass road trip. You guys have made this choice together. There's not a second guessing of, am I good enough? Am I working hard enough to keep this car moving or to keep this person in the car? There's not a panic. There's not a fear of losing that sense of safety. The baseline of being in the car together is the safety. And then as you're exploring these cool new places, there are moments of excitement. There are moments of, oh my gosh, this feels so good to be together with you in this way. You're still getting those rushes of, oh my God, I love this. I love you. This feels so good. But it's not the spikes. It's not taking you from a negative into a like super positive. It's taking you from a baseline and just amplifying the togetherness, amplifying the fun, amplifying the juiciness of being with this person. And similarly, the lows in a healthy relationship are not a huge drop. The lows are not you suddenly questioning everything. The lows, they feel like, okay, have you ever driven through Nebraska or like a state where it's very flat? There's a period of time where it's not very pretty to look at. It's kind of just, I maybe would rather be somewhere prettier, but I'm also not second guessing my choice to be in this car with you. I'm not second guessing my worthiness of being in this car with you, or if you still love me because we're driving through Nebraska instead of on Highway 1 in California. So there are moments where things feel normal. You're in the day-to-day monotony that can happen in a long-term relationship, but you're there together. And even though this isn't as exciting as finding that cool town or driving through the mountain road, there's still a knowing that he loves you, that he wants to be there with you, you love him, and you want to be there with him. There's no panic. There's just a calm. And sometimes this calm can get mistaken for boredom, especially if you're used to the roller coaster and you're like, wow, that even though that caused a lot of chaos in my life, that was actually kind of fun and I actually want those highs and lows. The road trip is not going to feel like that. So there can be a period of adjustment that happens and needs to happen in your nervous system when you're in a healthy relationship so that you're not trying to stir up shit to make it feel chaotic. So what to remember here about a healthy relationship and the road trip is that you're on an adventure together. And there are moments that are more exciting and moments that are less exciting, but there's always that baseline of feeling loved, respected, chosen, desired, safe. The excitement of what you're doing is not the variable that gives you that sense of feeling loved or gives you a sense of feeling not loved. And if you think about this in terms of length, depending on where you're road tripping, typically it's kind of a long haul, right? You're in it through these periods of excitement and periods of less excitement because you're getting to do something with this person that is creating memories together. You're creating a life together. You're going the distance with this person. You're not in it for the ups and the downs and the quick cycling of I don't know how long even a roller coaster ride is, 2 minutes or something. It's like a very short-term rush. This is a long-term sustainable feeling of being loved. Now, when you have done the work to get out of a trauma bond with a narcissist and you're starting to heal, you might come across a part of you who really wants calm. She really wants peace. All she's been thinking about through all of this chaos with your ex is, God, how can we just feel a moment of peace? When I speak with women on my free intro sessions who are interested in working with me, peace and calm come up more than almost anything else of something that they want because they haven't felt that in so long. When you're on a roller coaster, there's no peace and there's no calm. This is fucking crazy or I'm going to throw up. There's no in between. And so while you can have one part of you that really wants that, you can also have another part of you that is very used to the highs and the lows and has, again, calculated that as familiar, has learned that after the low comes the togetherness and that feels really good. And so that part of you has really found familiarity in the roller coaster. And so if you have lived in an amusement park for, let's say, 5-10 years, and then you have this invitation to go on a road trip, this part of you might be like, why the fuck would we go do that? That sounds boring as hell. And not only boring, but I don't know what to expect in that car. I don't know how I'm supposed to be in those moments driving through Nebraska. I don't know how I'm supposed to be actually exploring with this person in a real way. So even though the road trip to one part of you can be something that you really want and something that you know is healthy, this other part of you that's really been wired for the chaos is going to clock that as unfamiliar. And what happens in unfamiliar territory is fear, because we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to be like to drive through Nebraska. I know what it's like to be on this roller coaster. And so even though it's hurting you, it's familiar. And we always move towards the familiar. So the way that we shift from the familiar chaos into a new familiar of the calm is by doing a whole lot of nervous system work. And not just nervous system work when you're in a relationship, in a healthy relationship, and you're experiencing these things that feel unfamiliar, but nervous system work as you're coming out of the hypervigilance and the stress and the cortisol and the adrenaline that you've been in. It's like a recalibration of your nervous system to be able to start to be okay in the calm. Because even without a healthy relationship, if you just got out of this chaoticness with your ex, you're likely living by yourself and there's already an absence of chaos. And so you're already being invited to sit in the peace that surrounds you, or the quiet, or the stillness. So the nervous system work here is going to be really, really important for you to feel okay being there and not sit down to watch your favorite show and then 2 seconds later be scrolling on Instagram and be reaching for ice cream and be trying to distract yourself to create some sort of dopamine hit that you're used to. You're going to have to be able to expand your nervous system here, even before a healthy relationship. In my personal experience, before I met my now husband, John, I had never experienced a feeling of safety in a relationship that was not either with a narcissistic person or in a codependent enmeshment. And so my understanding of relationships before John needed a big ass rehaul, and my nervous system needed a lot of work to be able to deconstruct what what I had known as familiar for the first 35 years of my life. So I'll share a story here that was an example of using the nervous system to do something in a healthier vein that I needed to do, and then what the reaction felt like. So early in dating, I don't remember how far in this was, but we were already living together. And there was something that had happened where I needed to share with him how I felt about it. Now, thinking about doing this with him was terrifying because even though he had really proven that he was a safe person, to the point where we were living together, we took a major step forward together. So I knew rationally that he was safe, but I had been so conditioned in my past relationship with a narcissistic person. Whenever I needed to bring something up, it caused a fight. I felt like it was my fault. I felt like I was ruining the whole relationship because we were always fighting, and he made it seem like it was always my fault that I was bringing things up. So there was part of me that was hyper aware. She came online like, wait a minute. I know what happens when you try to speak your needs or share your feelings. Bad things happen, which cause some activation in my body, right? Cause some panic. I really had to be with that part of me and try to understand why she was feeling afraid, even though John's a different person than my ex. That fear was valid. So the first thing that I had to do with her was regulate my nervous system. And the way that I do this with my parts is through EFT tapping. So I'm tapping on these points on my face and my torso and my body as I am exploring this part and really trying to understand, okay, it makes sense why you are feeling afraid because of your past experience. I am here. I am aware that John is different than our ex. And I now have so many tools to be able to communicate with a safe person that we didn't have with our ex. So you can feel safe with me guiding this. And that's really how I was able to speak to that part of me while using the body to regulate the nervous system, to even be able to come to the point of speaking out loud to John. So I'm regulated, I have more understanding on this part of me. I sit down, and another tool that I teach my clients that I love is using the verbiage of, I want to share the story in my head. The story in my head is, this and this happened, and the story I'm making up is that it meant this. Can we talk about it? Is that what you meant? Is that what your intention was? And so that really opens the door for more of a vulnerable conversation instead of being like, you did X, Y, and Z and it pissed me off. So it's just a way to communicate with somebody who's receptive of communicating that can help foster that conversation. And so I'm sharing the story in my head. I'm still feeling some activation. It's not like I'm like totally peaceful and confident in this situation. I was in the self energy, but I was very aware that that part of me was right there. She was like ready to jump in if she needed to. So I share this with him. I share the story in my head. And there's a pause. And John looks at me and he says, tell me more. And I cannot tell you what that did for me in that moment because I was never met with curiosity. I was never met with respect. I was never met with like this desire for my ex to understand where I was coming from. And I just broke down in tears, and I felt so seen and respected in that moment. And it was like a dropping in or a solidification or what is the right word I want to say here? Like a imprint. Like my body felt in that moment what it was like from a romantic partner specifically to meet you with respect, for this conversation to maintain a peaceful nature and not turn into a fight. And it became like a morsel of proof to my parts and proof to my body that I was safe in this road trip. I was safe with this person. And there have been countless moments with John that have really solidified in that imprint or that knowing, which is how we've been able to build such a deep roots within our relationship and really feel incredible trust and safety with each other. But I wasn't just able to do that without a lot of introspective work around what happened in my last relationship, introspective work and understanding and curiosity around the triggers and what was left over, the wounding from that relationship, and having the nervous system tools that were going to help me be able to carry forward in a different way than the way that I have shown up in relationships in the past. Because without that tool of being able to understand my parts and regulate my nervous system, I probably would have just not said something because the fear of saying it would have been too big. And then it would have gone, a few days or maybe a week. And then I'd start getting passive aggressive because this thing really wanted to come out and be said and be addressed, but there was too much fear there. So I would just keep shoving it down. So it'd be passive aggressive and then it would come out sideways and then it would be probably a different conversation. So these tools have really enabled me to show up as a healthy version of myself to help foster the healthy ecosystem of the relationship. So if I'm showing up from a healthy place, John's showing up from a healthy place, then we have much better chances of creating a healthy relationship than if that's only happening from one side. So you need to show up with road trip energy to be able to withstand a road trip. Like, if you show up to a road trip really wanting to be on a roller coaster, in the first 20 minutes of driving, you're going to be like, this is fucking stupid. I want out of this car. Or you're going to try to reach over and grab the wheel and make something dramatic. You need to show up to a road trip wanting a road trip and being capable. I'm laughing because this metaphor just keeps getting better and better. And I hope you're appreciating this too. Being capable of being on a road trip. So I know you want a healthy relationship. That's also a number one thing that I hear from my clients is that even though it scares the bejesus out of them right now, most likely of like, I don't really want to date, that feels scary. Like eventually what they want is to really feel this depth and feel this connection with somebody and feel like love is reciprocated in a real way. So I know you want that. And I know that you've been through hell and really don't want to choose another narcissist. So what I believe to be 100% true is that you have to really focus on you. And you have to do the work within yourself that helps you not only heal from the trauma of being with a narcissist and the trauma of a trauma bond, but helps you understand and learn boundaries and learn how to speak from your needs and not feel guilty or feel fear. Learn how to understand your triggers and be able to communicate those to your partner so that that can become a topic of conversation instead of like accusatory. And you need to be able to regulate your nervous system through the discomfort and really validate your internal worthiness. Because without doing your own self-work, you might come across a man who's inviting you on a road trip and you might feel deep down you don't actually deserve a road trip, or you're too afraid to start this journey and then get in a car accident or lose it or lose something good. Or you're still seeking the roller coaster because that's what feels familiar and you aren't quite sure how to feel like you can find enjoyment in the road trip. So for you to start to get prepared for the road trip that you want to be on, I created something called the Relationship Reset Guide. And this guide is going to take you through 3 of the biggest foundational pieces that you need in order to have a healthy relationship, that you need in order to show up consistently on the road trip. It's also going to help you assess, where are you on the spectrum of showing up more healthfully or unhealthfully? Where are you in wanting the road trip or the roller coaster? So it's a very useful tool. It's totally free. It's called the Relationship Reset Guide. And it's in the show notes. You can go to the link, you'll opt in, you'll give me your name and your email. I get a notification and then I send it to you personally. So that guide is completely free for you. I really want you to take advantage of this because what I would hate is for you to still be in this place of wanting, but not being able to have, which is likely where you were in the relationship before you actually left, of I know I shouldn't be in this relationship, but I can't do it differently. right? There was a space between knowing and doing. And I don't want you to get stuck now in the space of wanting and not having. So go download the Relationship Reset Guide. Okay, let's pull a card and see what the message is that wants to come out for today. It is slow. Okay, I don't pre-pull these, you guys. So slow feels very pertinent to what we have just been talking about. Slow reminds you that you have all the time that you need. Not all the time in the world, but all the time you need. Take a breath, pause, assess. Soak in the tiny, meaningful moments of your life. You are missing so much. Shift your pace. Stop fretting. Quit rushing. Take a breath. Touch your heart as your breath calms your system. Invite reflection on the things you've been trying to outrun. You'll never move fast enough anyway. Slow down without fear, knowing that you have all the time you need. Inherently, the road trip is slower than the roller coaster, right? So, I love it. Okay, please go download that free guide. And until I see you in the next episode, please remember that you are not alone.